Hey everyone, this is Manadog again with another Starcraft Underground League match. This is from week 6 of season 2. We got some TVT action, everybody's favorite matchup. This is Maars from Team Legion versus Remap, who was at the time on Team Chaos and now is on Team Unhinged. These are two very high level sort of ace players for these teams, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of like higher level stuff that I'm going to miss because both of these players play at a substantially higher level than I do. But I'm going to try my best here. The first map is Polestar. This is TVT Week 6, Season 2 of StarCraft Underground League. So let's start it up. Okay, so we have Remap the Mine spawning as the sort of white-pink Terran in the bottom right. And we have Maars spawning in the bottom left as the purple Terran. So the map is Polestar, 4-player map. There's spawns up here and up here. We'll see how this map splits out between these two. So just starting off with SCVs early on, nothing crazy, no 6 racks in the middle. So as I said, these guys are both like A rank, S rank type players. Likely to be the best or near the best on any team that they're on. So I'm going to try and keep up with all this action. I know these guys are both they were new to Season 2, and I think that they've both been pretty helpful with their teams in terms of coaching some of the lower level players, providing help anywhere that they could. I know I've interacted with Maars a lot, and he's been incredibly helpful for our team. So both these guys just starting off with their first depot, very standard, nothing out of the ordinary here. We could be in the works for a long one here because this is TVT. Typically the longest matchup in Brood War. And let's see if these guys are in the mood to do something faster. So typically you'll build your racks kind of near a corner that's near like the center of the map because you're most likely going to lift it and use it for vision, for scouting. You pretty much, you get to a factory almost immediately in this matchup, unless you're doing cheese. So both these guys taking pretty standard gas timings, just pumping SCVs. Tendency-wise, I mean, I think players at their level will play kind of a variety of things, so like with lower level players you can kind of pigeonhole them a bit, saying like, oh well, this guy likes to play very aggressively, this guy's more of a macro player. But I mean, when you're at the level of these guys, you do everything, you're good at everything. So Remap is scouting in the sort of the counter direction for the longer scout. Maars is scouting in the more standard, but actually no, I have that incorrect. They're both scouting in sort of a counter motion to not the closest spawn. I'm sure they have a reason for that, but I don't know it. Factory timings, let's see. So Remap's factory slightly ahead, which is pretty normal to have the right side mining because that's faster. We have 2 marine opening from both these guys, so they're playing fairly safe. They both left 1 on gas. They're both looking to take a CC shortly. Yeah, so here's the lifted barracks going to scout. Same thing for Maars. Remap's SCV in position. Maars blocking the scout. So I think Remap would have gotten in maybe to see if there had been a command center if it had started, but he was pushed out. So he's really got no idea. He's completely blind. Maars, yeah, he'll see that CC. Both the barracks moving over. Both of them getting a initial vulture. They'll be going right into factory, or right into machine shop. Maars is added back onto gas. He's going 2 vultures. Remap has not yet added. So he's got 2, there's 3. Okay, so he's back on, or no, just 2. Second factory going to be coming down in a second. Maars pushing forward with his early vulture. Both were actually gliding in the middle of the map. Remap getting the better of an exchange. This is nothing so far. There's one Marine, there's two Marines. Nice for Maars to pick up some value at the end there. In terms of the CC, Remap with a slightly better timing. His build is just a little bit ahead of schedule with Maars so far. But this Vulture is dead. Oh, no, he lets it go. It's just because I said it. Probably smart to pull back, though, in case other Vultures were coming from Remap's base. Let's go up to 3 factories. Maars getting his machine shop, making his second factory. He pumped a few more Vultures. Yeah, so he stopped it. He's got 2 remaining, he's got 3 remaining. Both players just macroing. Third factory down for Maars as well. Both of them have their shops. And Vulture speed, very standard for the Vulture War. Vulture speed from both players. They both got a lot of vision here with these barracks floating over. Maars has pulled off of gas again. I think he realizes he has a gas surplus. Remap still with 2. So we're just pooling Vultures at this point. Maars putting a depot there to create a tougher surface area if Remap tries to go in with his Vultures. He's moving out. Worker count's pretty consistent. Upgrade timing pretty consistent. Both players just pumping Vultures. So when you do these openings, you occasionally will have to make the decision of whether or not you're going to delay an SCV or delay a Vulture, because early on you kind of just can't afford to constantly make all of the depots and all of the Vultures and all of the SCVs all the time. It's typically safer to just opt for Vultures, but obviously you get a little bit ahead on economy if you don't. Very similar Vulture counts, Remap slightly ahead because his factories were a little faster. Both players going for mines second. Maars adding the first tank. Tank adds a lot of pressure if you do move out, since obviously you'll outrange any of the Vultures. You can kind of poke, and the Vultures would have to like commit much harder to actually fight. So it's a pretty big advantage to have the 1 tank. Adding Academy for scans. A 4th factory from Remap, so he's going to go harder on Vultures for now. Just posturing on this high ground here, so if Maars tries to move out, particularly without scouting and gets caught, that could be pretty disastrous. Yeah, mine's done for both players. Yeah, we're going to see the minefield set up here. So far, a slight positional advantage for Remap. He's, you know, over on Mars's half of the map a little bit, putting mines down. Although he's got some Vultures that can get caught here. Hard to tell who has more, but it looks like Maars to me. Although Remap is on the four factories, so we'll see if that additional Vulture production is kicked in. I think it probably has back at home. He's making his first tank. We're just mining up, kind of fighting for map position. Maars has started siege, so he could get a more dangerous forward position. It's pretty dangerous to move your tanks out around here, though, until you have scanners. Yeah. So, if these tanks start moving up at all, we could be in a lot of trouble. Remap with substantial Vulture numbers. Able to push Maars back, start placing more mines. Maars has siege though, so Remap's not going to be able to get in here too much. He's mining up Maars third. Just rallying Vultures. He's gone hard on Vultures, so he's winning map control early on, but he's switching into tanks now. Maars has the early tank advantage. He's got his third started though. But as it sits right now, it might be tough to take. Armory started for both players. They're both playing kind of similar game plans so far, pretty standard. Yeah, so before you have scanners, if you try to move your tanks up too much, that's what can happen. obviously in any Terran army, tanks are kind of the lifeblood, so every tank loss, particularly early, is pretty vital. Yeah, same thing for Maars here, a little ballsy moving up. He's got the vultures though. Help clear. Nice forward position just outside of the mine range for Remap. Or of Remap's mines, I should say. He's going to try and take that third. There's a mine here that he needs to clear. Maars has started +1. I'm sure Remap will soon. Oh, it's got a starport down. First Wraith on the way. Maars just looking to kind of clear some of these mines. He's down pretty substantially in supply, but that's because Remap's stuck on vultures for a while longer, and Maars is actually floating a little bit of money. Scanners are down for both players, so we can finally start clearing some of these mines. Third CC down for both players. Fairly mirrored builds. Worker counts are very similar, but Remap's supply is quite a bit ahead, again, just because of the vulture numbers. Alright, these tanks in danger. Oh, big mine there. Pretty close fight, but in the end Maars ends up taking the area. Remap up to 7 factories. He's starting to pull up rates. We're just fighting for position here. These tanks potentially in trouble. Oh, the vulture's not really able to get any mines down. He's going to at least get a few SCVs here. It's 2. Nice fighting a tank now. Couple SCVs there, but Maars has been a little more consistent on his SCV production. So he's got a lead of 6 right now. Starting up some slight siege lines to take control of areas. We have some scouting SCVs. Maybe a CC soon. +1 will be finishing soon for Maars. No wraiths for him yet, but he does have his first turrets up. So still though, those wraiths can be pretty huge because there's literally nothing else that shoots up besides missile turrets here. And Remap just mining up the map. First wraiths on the move. Yeah, so you can just take this tank for free. Just stay out of the range of the missile turrets and you're fine. Targeting the SCVs first. Oh, but we have some Goliaths. We're watching. This is 1. So far, Remap has this nice position though, where he's kind of containing Maars. He's kind of trying to isolate this, sort of keep him to his quadrant of the map. But Maars has kind of a scary force here that's going to be able to push up and fight these vultures. As long as he doesn't take any big mine hits, yeah, he should be able to push this back. Goliaths help a lot with that. Goliaths are pretty great at shooting mines. And I think he's just got more tanks. Tank good unit. Remap still on 0-0 for his mech. Maars at 1-0. How many factories is this? He's on 6 factories. He's got his science facility, so he can start +2. +2 is huge in TVT because it's when your tanks start 2-shotting each other instead of 3-shotting. So if you've got +2 and they don't, the tank versus tank fights will pretty heavily skew your way. Vulture's sneaking by. We're gonna get probably quite a few SCVs here. You have to watch them though because they'll target these missile turrets if you're not specifically. They'll prioritize these since they attack over the SCVs. So this is probably going to be 15 or so SCVs when it's said and done. Maybe a little more. Pretty good damage there. But we do lose a lot of vultures in the process. The supplies have evened out. Maars snuck a force up near the top. He's coming down at the bottom. This is a ton of tanks, a ton of forces. Gonna be able to threaten this base over on the left or the right. Maars with this sort of hidden CC in the top left. Yeah, all these SCVs are gonna be gone. There's no real way Maars can contest, or yeah, mixing up these names. There's no real way that Remap can contest this without dropships or some sort of heavier air forces. This is a huge army for this point in the game particularly. And Maars is at a pretty substantial supply lead at this point. Yeah, so this was a great move to move up and swoop around, get a completely undefended position there. Maars will also have his +2 soon. Whereas Remap just starting his. And Remap probably does not know about this base from Maars, so he thinks this is now 3 base against 3 base. Obviously it's 4 against 3. Maars built back up his SCV count and took out all those over here from Remap. This is pretty dire straits for Remap here. Gonna be pretty tough to claw back just using factory units without some sort of a major catch or some very big mines, some kind of dropship play. Yeah, the numbers are just not in his favor at this point. +2 also going to be wrapping up in a sec for Maars. So he's already got a pretty strong position. He's up to 75 SCVs. And he can stop anytime. But now he's got +2, so he's going to win any of these fights hard. Any tank versus tank fights. And Remap calls it. So that's 1 win for Maars and Team Legion. Let's update our scoreboard. All right, game 2 is going to be on Neo Sylphid. Okay, everything updated. Alright, Maars is the pink Terran spawning in the top position. This is the best mining position. I like this one quite a bit for TVT. And Remap spawning in the left side, which is the worst mining position of the 3. So these patches are excellent. You want to get like on this little inside corner of these, and they're like incredibly efficient patches. Whereas, you know, left side, obviously not great. You have to boost this one, it's kind of a pain. Just to hit like a decent factory timing. So if nothing else happens, I mean, you'll probably see a just kind of a natural slight build order advantage for Maars develop. Just because he's got clearly the best spawn against clearly the worst for efficiencies. It seemed like in game 1, both of these players were pretty content to play sort of a macro, you know, positional tank lines game. We didn't see anything wild, but let's see if they decide to change it up for game 2. Again, so far very standard. See SCV's moving out for barracks pretty soon. Yep, there it is from Remap. There it is from Maars. Yep. This is a 137 gas, that's good. And then a second or two slower. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but particularly when it comes to things like Vulture Wars, where it's like one Vulture can create like a break point where it's one less volley to kill a Vulture, and you just see these kind of cascading effects from very small numbers where, you know, these minor differences, like a second or two of this, a second or two here, second or two there, kind of adds up, and it turns these fights to a pretty substantial degree that you wouldn't expect. So these guys are both going factory expand so far, looks like. Here's the SCV, Maars. It's a 228 factory. And just behind that, probably closer to 230 from Remap. Yeah. Second Marines coming from both players. They're both playing very standard, similar to how they did last time. We've got SCVs pulled off gas, although we are keeping in here. So this might be some sort of a tank first play, or potentially a starport coming up quickly. Otherwise you wouldn't keep on this gas here. Okay, we're going for a second factory, so this is probably going to be a one base play. Yeah, we're really trying to keep this SCV out. We don't want him to be able to see if there's a CC here or not. So we're going to see, is this a third factory or what exactly? No? Okay, so we're going to the machine shop right away. So perhaps a tank here, maybe this is a 2-fac. Used to be that you didn't see a lot of 2-fac in TVT, but it's gotten more popular recently. I think Light released a guide on it. You started seeing more of it. So Maars has taken his natural, and he's got his first Vulture, second Vulture on the way. I'm sure you'll see another factory in the machine shop soon. Okay, he's going 3 Vulture. He still has no scouting information on what Remap is doing. Remap going siege first. It's the tank. So he's going to try and pressure forward, get a nice position, pressure the natural. Yeah, so we already have a tank, and we'll have siege by the time we walk over. Okay, these Vultures are going to catch it on the way most likely. So Maars knows something is up. He's scouted that there's no CC from Remap. Remap is on the move. So I think if you can, you want to sneak these by, yeah, and see if you can get a counter with these Vultures, because you can't really fight this number. Yeah, fighting against the tank is kind of a recipe for disaster. We got the bunker down to buy us some time. Maars, the 2-factory, okay, he's going to go into Goliaths to fight this. There's the second tank. And we're probably going to see the siege start soon. Start pressuring this. Landed the barracks to block the pathway a bit here. And he's going to move it over, get out of bunker range. Oh, no, he's just using it for vision then. Second bunker just to delay. That's already dead. Remap just rallying his tanks and his Vultures over. Mines on the way. Maars just needs to buy time here. He's got the better economy. Siege is almost finished. Got Goliaths. He's got tanks coming. He basically just needs to not die. But these sorts of aggressions are pretty hard to hold. Okay, so the Goliath will push back the barracks. Remap's gonna... oh, he's into tank range. Maars moving up to focus down those tanks. Uh-oh. Big mine hits. Maars with the superior vision finishes off another tank. Remap ahead about pretty substantially in supply here. Mines are pretty painful and difficult to deal with here. Both players at similar points in SCVs. Factory upgrades almost done for Remap. And Maars has actually has the CC for vision, so he's sending over the barracks to scout. Remap taking his CC behind this. This rush is kind of, I mean, ideally you kill, but besides that, this is done what it's intended to do. Basically, it's hugely powerful to have a tank in range of where the CC would be. Maars cannot mine this, obviously. So he's got 400 invested in CC here that does absolutely nothing for him. Remap throwing down the armory in the third factory. Get some vultures. Maars going hard on Goliaths. Got 2 tanks, 5 vultures. We pulled SCVs. We're gonna try and bust out. Oof, you don't want to take those hits early though. You need these units to be max HP. Remap's got a pretty nice position here though. Okay, we're up to 6 Goliaths. That's gonna. Thought that was gonna get shot. So I think what he might do is once he's got the vulture, that's the first thing you send just to draw the fire. And you try and move up and get a position with your tanks, your Goliaths. Got a 4th tank here, but it's not really anything else. Oh, we're just sieging up. Okay. I'd say Remap with a pretty nice position here. Oh, but the Wraith is big. There is nothing that can shoot up from Remap here. So this is slow. Obviously, Wraiths just kind of tickle things. They don't really do actual damage. But until Remap walks the Goliath over here, this is free damage. Unsiege the tank, maybe he's going to try and move this up. Maars trying to decide on the perfect time to go. But he needs to break out soon. The problem with this is this position only gets worse for Maars. Taking a shot there, not ideal. Alright, he's going for it. He's moving out. Big mines. Ooh, big mines. Goliaths are pretty strong though against factory units and small numbers. And no ability to shoot these Goliaths from here. SCV's trying to repair, but not fast enough. And it looks like Maars has reclaimed his natural. So when all is said and done, Maars is a pretty scary little force here relative to the time. He's down about 7 SCVs. He's getting his scanners. Remap just starting his academy. Going up to 4 factories. Maars is on 2. Main thing here is probably, I'm going to be taking this gas, saturating. Getting his economy back on track. Scout out the map a little bit, see if we can maybe sneak these in. And Remap setting up the position here. Any free tank shots when they just move out will be big. Armory is up for both players, but we don't have +1 spinning yet. Maars needs to remake his barracks so he can add more factories. Remap with a pretty substantial lead here. He's up in SCVs. He's not up in army. And Maars realizes that and is on the move. Vulture's sneaking in. Drawing attention at least. While he pushes forward. Siege. So really nice position here from Maars. He's got the first shots on the Wraiths and he's repairing. Oh. He's caught up a bit on SCVs. Still on 2 factories. Getting his Goliaths, so he may be building up to push in again. No wraiths for Remap right now, so Maars has the vision advantage. He can start poking this tank. It's only one tank though, we might be able to push in soon. Yeah. So because this is hurt, he should be able to two-shot it, and he does. Not letting that mine go off was crucial. So again, it's an enormous amount of pressure once tanks start to get in range of any of these mineral patches or this SCV. That can be immediately game deciding. Maars has caught up and surpassed an SCV, so he's done a really good job to stay on top of that. Oh, free tank there. Pretty tough position for Remap right now, just really good awareness by Maars to realize that he can just move up and take kind of all this free land that was in the middle. Especially after having been pressured early on like that, it's often very difficult to realize that you have a window to move up. So Remap though is on up to 6 factories, making Command Center take his third. Maars with factories 4 and 5 on the way, so the production edge is still to Remap, and you can see he's up in supply. Maars with a somewhat hidden CC on one of the high grounds. Not sure I would call it a fully hidden base, but this is probably not the first place someone would check. Maybe here, or the mineral only over here. Maars working on Cloak for his wraiths, just getting our general updates, pumping units. Yeah. So this army for Remap is going to start looking scary soon. And he's got a dropship, unscouted. This could be big damage. Obviously Maars sees it now. Let's see how the mines are. It seemed like a pretty strong defense from Maars, and while this was going on, okay, nothing over Remap's natural. Maars has the third CC completed. Got the gas ASAP. SCV lead. Now he's watching for drops. He's got Cloak. He's going to be able to pick this Wraith off as well. Nothing else here for Remap shoots up. Yeah, so he's able to weaken these tanks. And it's going to be not a lot more room here for Remap before these tanks start getting really scary. Okay, we're trying to get some splash or force the tanks to unsiege so we can move up. Timing is maybe a little off though. Yeah. Seemed like that was maybe slightly desynced. And Maars is able to mostly siege back up in time. Although he does need to bring these reinforcements forward. I don't think Remap knows exactly how much Maars has here because it's not very much. You can usually, I don't know. As his barracks pushes forward, he's gonna realize that he can kind of just walk forward and take this. Although it is just as Maars reinforcements get here. Still though, it's always very difficult to move forward into tanks and trade efficiently. +1, almost done from Maars. Remap making dropships. Supplies looking pretty strong for Maars. That third is kicked in. Doesn't seem like Remap. Yeah, I don't think Remap doesn't know it's there. Does not know that it's there yet. Mine blocking the CC from landing. Again, this is not like a particularly strong position. I just don't think that Remap knows what's there and knows that he can break it. So this hidden CC is it's doing work. I start the science facility soon. So Maars has the stronger economy at this point by 17 SCVs. Pressuring this third CC, even if it could land, it would start getting shelled immediately. Again, there's nothing really here, he just doesn't know about it. A drop in the main that I missed. I think these trades were pretty good. You know, it's nothing earth-shattering, but if you look at the supplies, I think it got a bit closer. Although losing these dropships for free hurts. Yeah, it's going to drop on top of these tanks. But this allows him to finally take that third. Get back to more of a economic parity. Both players kind of just pumping tanks mostly. Remap moving up, trying to get more of a forward position on the map. Yeah, you need to kind of secure this real estate and like take your half of the map while it's still possible. It's tough with these wraiths flying around, but if you just stay where it's safe in a TVT, you'll kind of get sealed off, and you'll end up with fewer bases, and that's just kind of the game eventually. It's like, you'll play these 40-minute games where you died at like, you know, minute 15. But you just weren't able to tell. So this is +2, started for Maars. +1, about finished for Remap. Gonna have that timing potentially in a little while that we saw in the first game. In both these games, Maars with just some very nice movement around the map, kind of just finding the gaps where he could. Really good about not avoiding mines and just like finding the free places where you can sort of press forward uncontested, and it's awarded him a lot of pressure. So it looks like he's maybe going to take this base in a little while. Still got this forward position. This tank has been holding for a good 5 minutes, all by itself. Remap pushing forward at the bottom. Substantial supply lead for Maars at this point, though. Yeah, this is going to be a tough fight for Remap. Oh, shows what I know. No, I think Maars lost some supply there, but he didn't really give up the position, which is probably more important here. So this is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases that Maars has access to right now. Oh, finally pushing up here. Big mine net. Remap could get 1, 2, 3, well that's mined out. 4, 5, 6. So these are kind of going to be the later game bases if it gets to that. What we're contesting is the bottom right. And though, about a 40 supply lead, 50 supply lead for Maars. Remap trying to push forward, contest these bases. Seems like he's kind of correctly diagnosed this as his pathway forward. He's taking another base down here. Maars has a lot of tanks committed to the center area. Substantial drop, 3 drop ships looping around. Take the middle only, fake high ground. So this could be huge damage, but also maybe more importantly, we're going to find this base coming out and deny that. So Maars is already up 2 bases essentially. He's about to keep it that way. Yeah. So that CC's a cancel. Remap thinking similar things. Maars just securing this base here, just making it as difficult and costly as possible for Remap to try and take this. And finding a window to get some SCV kills. One of these dropships goes down immediately. The other two are going to land though, this can be scary. Nothing that shoots up though, so we might see the wraiths coming. Siege was maybe a little slow, and we're still losing a lot of SCVs over at the high ground. Yeah, this is what, maybe 20 SCVs that died here. Pretty commanding position for Maars right now. People don't like to watch TVT sometimes, but I think high-level TVT is like maybe the best matchup, just because the multitask required to do all this stuff all over the map at once, and it's so positional where it's like these small mistakes and your army ends up in a tank line, and it's like absolutely brutal. I don't know. Really impressive stuff to watch. So Maars also of note has +2. He started +3. Yeah, Remap has not started +2 yet, so any tank fight that happens in the foreseeable future is gonna lean towards Maars in that way. Maars pushing through the middle. If he breaks this position, he's gonna be able to put pressure on this again. Remap's main is mined out. This is getting there. Can't take this. So this is kind of his last safe base right here. Again, a lot of vultures gonna get in. Maars cleaning up the fight in the middle. Yeah. And Remap calls it. So that's a 2-0 win for Maars. Congrats to Maars on the series.